This is the kind of thing that you see in dictatorships, this Ministry of Truth, this Department of Propaganda that the Biden administration has just stood up. And the reason why you see this in dictatorships is because they're afraid of us. They're afraid of the people. They're afraid that we might actually think for ourselves.
How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Biden administration announcing the Disinformation Governance Board. This will be part of the Department of Homeland Security, and their objective is to root out any misinformation online so you don't see any misleading things. Oh, you can't see something bad about the virus. Oh, take this over there, take that over there, HCQ, IVM. Nope, don't do that. Misinformation. Now, I'm not sure if there's going to be a penalty. I mean, you're talking about a federal program, DHS. Are you going to get sent to the gulag? Big rocks, little rocks? I have no idea. But we have a real thing going on. Now, people have described this as Orwellian, as in George Orwell, peace be upon him, the great prophet of our time, 1984, Animal Farm. These books are simply not fiction. These are just 100% facts, okay? It was just a blueprint for the future. Now, before I go too far into it, I have an article here, and of course, I'll link to all my sources in the description, but I want to read some of this, and I'm going to stop it at certain points because I want to go deeper into this whole George Orwell thing. This is definitely linked to 1984, surveillance state, police state, really, really big government, fewer freedoms for the American people, just a lot of ridiculous things that we're going through right now. And you see the headline here, critics slam timing of Biden's, quote, Ministry of Truth, because that's what it is. If you ever seen, or pardon me, if you ever have read 1984 by George Orwell, this Disinformation Governance Board is the equivalent to the Ministry of Truth. And I'll explain why in a minute. But critics slam it because they're going to police the internet for, quote unquote, disinformation. And conservatives refer to the move as Orwellian, as it is. And let's go ahead and read this here. Conservatives on social media slammed the Biden administration after it was announced that a Disinformation Governance Board is being established to combat, quote unquote, disinformation in the 2022 midterms. So you already see what's going on. You see, in the midterms, it's going to be a complete just madhouse. They know that Democrats are going to take big L's in the midterm. There's already been plenty of Democrats who have retired. They're not going to run again. They know it's going to be a big L for them. So they're trying to minimize the losses that they will incur. Oh, it's going to be some losses, 100%, big time losses. So let's just say another smoking gun like a Hunter Biden laptop comes out. Let's just say some Democrat somewhere gets caught on the laptop smoking crack, dealing with China, Ukraine, all kind of ridiculous deals. The Disinformation Governance Board may try to attack that as Russian propaganda. It's not really real. It's been doctored. It's been altered. It was stolen. And then they're going to try to pressure social media giants, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, etc., to not release it, to put the kibosh on it before it gets out there to the public. So you are, quote unquote, better informed. But what is that really? That's called hiding information from you. That's trying to conceal things from you. And then they're going to put out alternative narratives to give you what they want you to know. That's called propaganda. That's exactly what the Ministry of Truth did in 1984. Their whole job was to put out propaganda, misinformation, and they also had this thing called Newspeak. I'm going to get back to this article in a minute. But there was also a thing called Newspeak, right? Now, Newspeak is when they change words to fit the narrative the government wants you to buy into. They change words and they also shorten your vocabulary. And that's going on right now. Like, look at some of these words. Heteronormative, cisgender. These words didn't even exist 5 years ago. But now that's like your normal thing. And it's to the point where in Canada, if you misgender someone, you might go to the penitentiary. You might go straight to the who school without passing go, collecting your $200. You go straight to the joint for using the wrong words, for misgendering somebody. You see what I'm saying? So The Ministry of Truth, 1984, it's here, live and in full color, but I digress. Let's keep on with this article. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas testified Wednesday that a disinformation governance board had recently been created days after Tesla CEO Elon Musk purchased Twitter to combat online disinformation, and will be led by Undersecretary for Policy Bob Silvers and Principal Deputy General Counsel Jennifer Gaskill. So, is it a coincidence that this board was announced right after Elon Musk purchased Twitter? Because, I mean, these people aren't necessarily that dumb. They're dumb in a sense, but they kind of know what they're doing a little bit. So when Elon Musk purchases Twitter for $44 billion, and his goal is to allow free speech to reign on the platform, the government doesn't like that. As I've said before, Twitter has an issue with their employees being very rogue and trying to implement a lot of their leftist liberal values. But a lot of the big things like the Hunter Biden crack smoking laptop, that is probably coming straight from up top, straight from the federales themselves, calling whoever the CEO or whoever's in control at Twitter and saying, hey, that story about Hunter Biden, yeah, don't put that out there. We're a platform. Look, okay, whatever. Look, silence it, censor it, don't put it out there. So now that Elon Musk is going to be a little bit, he'll be able to fight against the federales a little bit more. Now they got to come out with a whole disinformation governance board to fight against Elon Musk, to fight against anything online that they don't see as beneficial to their bottom line. That's what's going on here. Okay, this is 1984, live and in full color. Let's continue. Quote, the goal is to bring the resources of the DHS together to address this threat, Mayorkas said, adding that the department is focused on the spread of disinformation in minority communities. Really? Is that what it is? How about DHS be concerned with Homeland Security? Like, I don't know, the border invasion, 18,000 illegal aliens crossing the border a day or going to the border a day with no infrastructure, no border agents. You got all types of infectious disease. You got drugs, guns, violence, chaos, child offenders, all types of stuff just flowing across the border. Rather than trying to fight against certain tweets you don't like with DHS money, take that DHS money and go down to the border and tighten that up. Oh, we wouldn't want to do that. We don't want to focus on the imminent danger to Americans. We want to focus on Americans themselves spreading information that we see as improper or dangerous or somehow malicious in intent. But whatever. So Josh Hawley says the board is a disgrace, and he wrote a letter. And of course, this will be in the box if you want to read it. Quote, is there anything more dystopian than a disinformation governance board run by the federal government? Florida Republican congressional candidate Dr. Willie J. Montauk tweeted, adding in a later tweet that the board is, quote, Orwellian, as it is. Quote, they don't need disinformation governance board until Elon Musk threatened their control over the narrative. Texas Republican Congressman Troy Nehls tweeted. Exactly. They did not need that until that point. Quote, the lid spent the last few weeks planting the seeds for the backup plan in case Twitter deal actually happened. Republican Congresswoman Lauren Boebert tweeted, today's news of a Biden-backed disinformation governance board is dystopian. They can't afford to let the truth be anything but what they say. Correct. All right. So that's that. There's a few more tweets here, but it's right on point, though. It really is. And of course, they're not going to respond. DHS won't respond for comment. But this is nuts, though. This is really nuts. And I think that a lot of us we've already experienced this. Really, we saw it coming as far as this particular thing, the disinformation governance board. We've seen that coming, but we've also seen a lot of government influence on social media happen. Again, Hunter Biden laptop, we saw that. We saw quite a few more things. We've seen the mainstream media be in lockstep with the political establishment. We've seen that. Okay, we know that the Democratic Party has an enforcement wing. You got two enforcement wings of the Democratic Party, or of, I would say, the political establishment, which is mostly on the left. You have the foot soldiers, the Black Lives Matter Antifa. They're the enforcement arm. If they want to get something done, they want to get a bill passed, they're going to come tear up your city, burn it down, threaten you, do all types of violence until they get what they want. And if they don't get what they want, they're going to just ruin a particular place where they go if they're not fought back against by the local authorities. if you got, like, let's say, for example, you got a weak city government, state governance, and BLM comes to the place and they tear stuff up, they're allowed, what was that? We gave them room to destroy. Remember that whole thing? I think that was Stephanie Rawlings Blake or somebody up there. I think it was Stephanie Rawlings Blake. We gave them space to destroy. If you got that going on, then you're toast. If you have a little bit of a backbone, then you're not. But unfortunately, a lot of these mayors and governors are not very strong in their convictions, and they just let stuff happen. So you have that part, the BLM and Antifa. You also have the mainstream media, your CNN, MS-13, DNC, etc. They are also part of the enforcement arm, and they say certain things in lockstep with each other. They repeat the exact same words. They push the newspeak. Okay, you cisgender, you can't say certain words. If somebody is disabled, you can't say the R word anymore. There's a lot of things you can't say. They want to shorten your vocabulary. They put out this music that has a lot of the same kind of stuff in it. You shorten the vocabulary, making up new words. It's just, we see what's going on. 1984 was not just a book. It was like a book of revelations, of prophecies that are all coming true right now. And I hope, for the sake of our country, we don't go further down this rabbit hole, but I'm seeing a lot more rabbit holes open up day by day. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? How do you feel about what's going on here? The Ministry of Truth, also known as the Misinformation Governance Board. Whatever your thoughts on this is, let me know in the comments below. You guys know where I stand. This whole thing is ridiculous. There shouldn't be a Misinformation Governance Board. How about just let me decide what I want to consume information wise and have that be that? Don't put DHS money into trying to brainwash me or convince me or guide me in a certain direction you want me to go in. Okay, if you want to talk about blocking and guarding and guiding, take that same money and go down to the border and do that physically with these illegal aliens coming across, with these guns and drugs coming across. So how about that? That's where our focus should be. But unfortunately, because we have this, super genius 9 trillion IQ administration, they're focused on things like this. They're focused on trying to bring 1984 George Orwell novels into real life. 1984 Animal Farm, the whole thing. They're trying to make George Orwell be a real legitimate prophet. That's what's going on right now. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.